That's right. My diary was stolen when I was a little girl. And this is that story. My name's Jules, and I'm the dawdling writer, and today we're having a little bit of a story time. So I was about 9 or 10, somewhere along in there. We had moved back to Georgia, and I received a stunning pink, super girly diary that had a lock and key. And at that point, I had already begun writing, not really writing, but making stories in my head. I had written my 3rd grade first actual story, my werewolf story, and I liked making things up in my head, making new worlds and stories in my head. And I received this diary from an aunt for my birthday. And so I was really excited to see it. And I was like, oh, it has a lock and key. It looked like one of these. Something very similar. At least the lock structure looked exactly like this. It wasn't necessarily like super decorative, and it wasn't super fluffy or anything. It was just like a really pink, like excessively pink diary. But I loved it. It was my first actual diary, and so I started using it. I was like, oh yeah, I like this. And I can put all my secrets in it because it's got a lock and key. Oh, Jules. Silly Jules child. So I had, at that point, we lived in a little neighborhood, and there were 3 or 4 families that had kids that were around our age. A little younger, a little older. Just a mixed bag. So in the summertime, we all kind of congregated together and we hung out. We went to like play video games. We played in the street. You know, we moved when the cars came, but so we were all just like this neighborhood group. And so I hung out usually with either the guys, or I would go off with some of the younger girls. So I had one younger friend, and I was super excited about this diary. I was super excited. So I showed it to her, and I showed her where I was keeping it in my room. I never knew how the conversation went or what exactly the process of the next thing happened, how that wound up being. At some point when I was off playing with the girls, the guys snuck into my room and stole my diary and read it. And at that point, I had a crush on one of the guys in the neighborhood, and I had written about it in the diary because I felt like it was safe to do so because it had a lock and key. Now, silly me, because I knew that if I took the little teeny tiny key off the diary, I would lose it. I kept it on the little book strap, which meant that you could unlock it at any point because the key was right there next to the lock. So, you know, I wasn't really super smart. So they read it. And so I felt like the sanctity of my diary was ruined. And so when I found out that they had read it, I went and I grabbed a bottle of whiteout, and I put whiteout over every single page that I had written in that diary. And at that point, I was about 1/3 of the way through the diary, like page-wise. So I had been writing in it for a while. Not necessarily like daily, but I would keep coming back to it. And so I whited out every single page. And I remember grabbing a Sharpie and just writing in big old letters across that whiteout. And it was still drying, so it effed up the Sharpie. I was like, secrets aren't safe. Like, diaries aren't safe. I remember writing that kind of thing just over every page that I had whited out. And then I proceeded to rip every single page out of that pretty little pink diary and threw it away. So that was the end of my first little diary. And so ever since then, I've never bought anything that said diary on it. Like, all of my journals are either blank, where they say journal or notes or something. They do not say diary. And so I realized over time that as much as I loved writing and I loved being sort of introspective through writing, I never kept another quote unquote diary. I had started journals several times over the years, but I never made it past like the 1 week consecutive writing in it. And so I think the only times I've done that is when I was traveling abroad with my mother. And we went to Rome for 1 week and we went to London for 1 week. And so I journaled every day for those trips. And both of those trips are in a single journal. And that is now my travel journal. So, but I don't write in a diary. I write in journals because a diary is not safe to my mind. And so it has taken me years to kind of get over this fear of journaling, because I always felt like it wasn't a safe place for my secrets and for my thoughts. I mean, let's be honest, like, nobody really is really interested in what I'm having to journal and reflect about every day. Like, that's boring. So it's taken me a long time, but I finally started a new journal. And I had an old journal. I had this one I had barely used, but I had started out thinking it was going to be a reference notebook of some sort, and so I had some reference material in there. And then I decided I would just rather keep that material in a digital format. And so I changed it all to digital, and then I had this barely used notebook. So I just started putting craft paper over the pages that I had already written, and then decorating it with some scrap paper and washi tape and things like that. And so I'll show you the decorated pages, of course without most of my writing, because, you know, secrets. But at this point, I have been journaling for almost 3 weeks consecutively. So it's been nice to finally be able to journal again, and it's been nice to really feel like I have a time to wind down at the end of the day and really sort of be introspective rather than staring at my screen. So I have quite a few pages, and then I have some that I've pre-decorated with some stickers that I had and some washi tape and whatnot, because I don't want to decorate it every night before I go to bed. I'm not going to do that. So I pre-decorated about 2 weeks worth. And so like I pre-decorated when I was covering up the reference material, and then I just journaled on that, and I was like, oh, I like this. And so then once I was reaching the end of those pages, I pre-decorated another batch of like 2 weeks worth. And so I'm enjoying it. That was the story of how my diary was stolen as a child, and how it scarred me for life, although I'm trying to take it back. So I'm enjoying the process, and if you ever had your diary stolen as a kid, there is hope, I guess. That is sort of the message. But that is all for my little story time, and I hope that you enjoyed. And if you did, hit the like button, maybe subscribe and hit the bell in case you want to get notifications from YouTube sometime after the video actually goes up. And so yeah, thank you. I do live streams Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern, and Sunday, 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern if you are interested in writing sprints or productivity sprints. So thanks. I will see y'all next time. Bye!